Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we have Greenbrier East High School head coach, Senator Jim Justice. We have players Hannah Fuller, Kennedy Stewart, and Ava Worknan. Jim, if you could, a few comments on the game, and then we'll take questions.
You know me well enough to know I always want to give a lot of credit to the other team. They were on a nice run. They had played as a really competitive game at our place. We know how good they are. They're unbelievably good defensively, and with all that being said, they're really, really rough. You know, well, we got as ready for that as we could possibly be. We out-rebounded them big time. That was really big. I think we had 30 offensive rebounds. I mean, honestly, offensive rebounds are only second to taking a charge. And so that really helped. You know, Hannah had an unreal day today. That's all there is to it. You know, unbelievable. McKinney, you ought to be up here somewhere too. Why don't you get up here? You know.
There's a seat. Come on,
well,
Mike.
we're gonna. Yeah, you can sit.
We got a fourth chair back there.
Yeah, and don't you drive my scooter up. Okay, but you know, I can tell you that the secret to this whole thing is just this, and I hope that these kids would attest to this forevermore. We learn a lot of stuff, and at the end of the day, every one of those kids knows all this stuff. You know, I told him today at practice, maybe the last time that I can remember us running a four-man, one-man zone was when we got across the finish line with Bridgeport way back when. And we put Cheyenne Hooper in the middle, and a freshman who's skinny as a rail, but almost 6'4", you know, some way they didn't know what to do because they thought we were in a man. And but they just know a lot of stuff. You know, one of the timeouts, you just think, you know, we'd taken Hannah out of the game. Reagan was ready to go and everything. And then we said, Hannah, wait a minute, check back in the game and everything. Well, and then all of a sudden we run our two again play. Beautiful, she can be a little left-handed put in, and she, you know, but honestly, they know a lot of stuff, and the biggest thing, and girls, I'll tell you this, I've told you this 10 billion times, but you should remember this for all your life. And that's one thing. In life, if you don't have the passion and you don't really buy into something, no matter what you're doing, it's not going to work. But when you really buy in and you've got that passion, it can take you a long, long ways. We beat an awfully, awfully, awfully good basketball team today. That's all there is to it.
Jimmy, you maybe expand a little bit on Hannah's play this evening. James said right where you are, said she was the difference in that game, the game this evening. Well,
they didn't expect it, you know, and there's times when we expect it and it doesn't happen. But with all that being said, today it really happened. And we really got after her, you know, the shoot around and everything else. And with film, we got down early. We watched film early today, and then we went to the gym, shoot around and everything else. But she, what a game. I mean, my good Lord, I think it's 16 points and 17 rebounds.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. I mean, flat unbelievable. And so, no, they didn't expect it. They didn't expect it. And didn't have much of an answer for it, you know, but look, they're a great team, not kind of good, they're a great team. And, you know, they showed that by 50 seconds or a minute 10 and hanging in there and scared the daylights out of us coming down the stretch right there, too.
Coach, you said you didn't expect it, but I remember when Hannah was a freshman, you said we're going to go as far as she can take us. What did you see at that point to kind of see this moment coming?
Well, look, you know, and I don't want this to focus on Hannah because so many of these kids, you know, our JV kids came out and started the season, they were terrible. And really and truly, they played against these kids every single day, and they're tough now. That's all there is to it. You know, you get to play against the #1 team in the state every single day, you get tougher, you know, but here's the thing. Hannah had, honestly, a lot of people had kind of beat Hannah down or discounted Hannah and everything. And here was a kid that not many big kids can do two things, and that is pass the ball well and shoot foul shots. Now they can't, but she can, and she has a great touch with it and everything. Now there's times that she gets lost in space and everything and just goes off the reservation, but really and truly, I can see it from day one. Nothing makes me more proud. You did a great job, girl.
Jim, the state championship's the thing, but to do it undefeated, I mean, that makes it just a little more special. Talk about that.
Now, what do you mean by that, Dave?
Undefeated season.
Oh, gosh. Goodness gracious, girls. You know, when we started, in our first 11 games, we played 8 games, and we could have lost every one of those 8 games. And they'll tell you. I mean, we were down at halftime or did this or pulled 18 rabbits out of our hats or whatever it was. But some way, their grit and the rabbits and everything else, we got through it. You know, I mean, you just think of the teams. I mean, in Quad A, we played Martinsburg twice. I think they only lost to us the whole season. We played Beckley. We played Cabell Midland. We played Morgantown, who had just beaten Parkersburg to death. We played them all, guys. You know, we played, Lord Botetourt, the defending state champions in Virginia. We played Covenant, from Charlottesville in Virginia. Who didn't we play? I mean, we played all the AAA teams. You know, it was unbelievable how they did something that, I every year I give them a picture, and it's made out of, it got barnwood and everything. The seniors. And I was going to give them this exactly, and I gave them little nameplates later. But I put on, I've got a lot of sayings and everything. I put on the picture. It said, "In life, always go get the egg-sucking ball." And then this kept happening, and we kept winning. When it didn't look like there was any way. I watched, the movie, if I could only imagine. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 here we are about to have a perfect season. That changed it, if I could only imagine, a perfect season. And they did it. It brings big tears to me. That's all there is to it. Sandy Banton. All these kids. Sandy went down with 0.7 of a second to go in the Morgantown game. Absolutely. That's when we lost Sandy with an ACL. We had lost her 2 weeks before with a broken nose. Kennedy face planted at Nitro and blew out her teeth. I mean, we have been through so much adversity. Yesterday, Ava got some calls that I thought were pretty doggone tough. And with that being said, what do we keep telling ourselves? Nobody ever said this was going to be fair. You're going to have to deal with a lot of adversity in life. And just suck it up, let's go. And they did it. They did it. If you can only imagine a perfect season.
Hannah, can you talk about your performance this evening?
You have to talk, man. I didn't perform this evening. Well, I performed, but I was yelling my head off.
What's the question?
Can you talk about your performance this evening? 16 points, 17 rebounds.
Now, don't shrug your shoulders and act like it was nothing. Come on, speak up. Tell them. Tell them you were really proud.
I was proud.
I can change it up. Can you talk about her
I'll
performance
talk
this
about her
evening?
performance. She went and got the ball. God, she wanted it.
The egg-sucking ball.
She went and got the egg-sucking ball. Every day. Sometimes she doesn't want it, but today she wanted it. Everyone did.
Coach, you talked about some of those rough patches a couple weeks before the season. You lose an assistant coach and great friend. And was he part of that 27 wins?
Had to be. Ooh, man, y'all are really after me today. That's all there is to it. Mo Ball was my best buddy. And we coached 10 million games together. He came to practice. He came to practice and sat in a wheelchair and was working with Kayla Waller and on just her technique and shooting the ball back and forth from 3 foot. Am I right, Kayla? I mean, he absolutely did everything. And then went home, and the next morning we found him in his bedroom floor dead. We don't ever know what's happening. But I do know, and I've said it a bunch of times, I said this at the eulogy at his funeral. If there's any human being that's in heaven, if there's one human being that's in heaven, and it's in heaven, it'll be Mo. He was just that good. That's all there is to it.
Kennedy, very similar to yesterday where you kind of got hot early and were able to hit in spurts. But just talk about that. Were you able to really glean into something from yesterday and apply it today?
Yeah, I felt like yesterday I had a lot of confidence coming in, so I just had to continue that today, and we worked together to get each other open and made shots.
One of the first things you did after celebrating your teammates was bolt up to the stands and share a moment with your family. Just talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, they got me here, so I felt like I had to thank them just a little bit. But I'm just so thankful for everyone that comes and watches, especially my family. They always fill up a whole section of bleachers. I just couldn't be more grateful for that.
Ava, how were you able to neutralize Kaylee? Just following her around, hounding her throughout the game. Obviously, you can score, but it seemed like your focus was primarily defense and making sure that she didn't get off, today.
Definitely, yeah. My role today was to keep her from not scoring. She was not allowed to score when I was guarding her. And she didn't. She did not. She did not score when I was guarding her. She had 1 point on a foul that I did not foul her on.
Now, I can elaborate on this just a little bit. Now, just think about this. I really got after Ava when we were watching film because when they played at our place, Ava was standing 3 foot off her and she just lit it up. And I said, what are you doing? I mean, for God's sakes, live it. Now, here's the other part of the story. We switched to a diamond press, and then switched back out of that. Ava didn't want to do it because she didn't want to give up that kid, did you? Because she was in her stuff and everything. So I almost had, negotiation with Ava on the sideline because she didn't want to switch. She never said, I don't want to do that, coach, or anything like that. She wouldn't do that. But really,
I just didn't want her to score.
I know. But I wanted to win the game.
Can you talk about the strategic move of using McKenna to bring the ball up and being able to move Kennedy and Ava off ball offensively? Because it seemed like there was a lot of it and it helped get those two going.
Yeah, coach, tell him, coach.
Well, I mean, that was the whole everything. If you look at the film of when we played at our place, until we pulled McKenna into the backcourt and everything, we really struggled in a lot of ways. McKenna, we told McKenna today that she had to stay behind Kennedy and Ava. And the other thing is, I don't have any idea why, other teams didn't do it. You got to bring your big up in the front, against this kind of team and get the ball up. So we brought Hannah all the way up and McKenna all the way in the back, and that's how we were able to cope with this, with their real unbelievable toughness. They're the real deal as far as the defensive team.
Any further questions? All right, thank you all.